Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte as we are preparing for the 2024-2025 NHL season. We are continuing through our season preview videos. I just kind of scheduled everything out. We're going to be pretty much posting 2 videos a day from now until September 15th. So by the time we get into the preseason, all of our season previews will be done. And if you haven't checked the videos we've done already, we are going through it alphabetically, and today we're going with the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars, we know this is a good team. They've continued for the last couple of years, really since 2019, 2020. The Dallas Stars have been a legit team, and we know the big storyline for them really during that whole time has been Jake Oettinger. He's one of the best goaltenders in the entire National Hockey League, and especially come playoff time, that is not a goalie you want to face up against. And for the Dallas Stars, this has been another good season last year, but it's the same story. Good regular season, pretty good playoffs, respectable playoffs, but they ultimately come up short, whether it's in the second round or the Western Conference Final or the Cup Final. That's kind of been the storyline for the Dallas Stars. Do they have enough this year to get over the hump and actually win the Stanley Cup? We're going to discuss that today. So last season for the Dallas Stars was a pretty good one. They were at the top of the Central Division. They were right in the running for the President's Trophy up until the end. They were a top 5 team in the entire NHL standings for most of this season. The Dallas Stars are a team that you know what you're getting from the Dallas Stars. There's a lot of veterans on this team, and there's also now that blend of the youth, the next era of the Dallas Stars kind of coming into the fold, and we'll discuss that here in a minute because there's one player in particular I'm very excited for. Probably should be on the Calder Trophy consideration, and we'll discuss him in a minute. So looking at the forward lines for the Dallas Stars, the top 6 really doesn't look any different than it did last year. You got Jason Robertson, Roope Hintz, Wyatt Johnston, Tyler Seguin, Matt Duchene, and Mason Marchment. Now, Mason Marchment being healthy, that's going to be a key factor for the Stars. I think he adds that little agitation edge to the Dallas Stars that, when he was hurt at points last season, was lacking. Wyatt Johnston had a breakout season last year. That was his coming out party into the National Hockey League, letting everybody know, hello, I'm Wyatt Johnston, and I'm in the NHL. He made it quite clear, becoming a household name for the Dallas Stars. And looking at the bottom 6, there's a couple of familiar names and a couple of new faces and new names that you need to get used to on this team. So Jamie Benn and Logan Stanchoven will be centered by Mavrik Bourque. I'm really excited for Mavrik Bourque, not only because he has an incredible name, but the Dallas Stars have been hyping this kid up for the last couple of years. He's been a prospect in the system for the Dallas Stars. Anytime that teams have talked about trading with the Dallas Stars, he is the first prospect that has always come up going the other way. And the Dallas Stars, up to this point, have been able to keep him. They have avoided trading him, that temptation of trading for some kind of player to come in. Mavrik Bourque is now in the lineup. He'll be wearing number 22 for the Dallas Stars this season. Honestly, I think this third line is going to be a pretty important line for the Dallas Stars because Jamie Benn had a little bit of a comeback season last year, considering how far his numbers fell really during the COVID era. It was a really tough stretch for Jamie Benn, and I think that playing with some of this youth with pretty much what's going to eventually be the future top 6 of this team in Bourque and Stanchoven, 2 highly regarded prospects on the Dallas Stars, he's a good player to kind of anchor that line. And the fourth line, you've got Dadonov, Steele, and Colin Blackwell. I think that's a pretty solid fourth line. It's not anything super impressive, but for a team that's trying to win the Stanley Cup, I would say that's a competent fourth line. Now, looking at the defense, really a couple of interesting pieces, but nothing really in terms of the core isn't all that different. So Thomas Harley and Miro Heiskanen is your top pair. We knew that going in. Thomas Harley's been talked about for a while. He's going to need to step up a little bit more this season, especially with the depth of this group, which is questionable at best. So the second pairing, you've got Esa Lindell, who needs to stay healthy, and one of my favorite names in the NHL, former Anaheim Duck, Ilya Lyubushkin. So for the Dallas Stars, this is a guy that, is he a top 4 defenseman? We're going to find that out this season. He's been a good third pairing guy, competent in that role, but now you have him in that top 4 pairing. Is he a second pair guy with Lundell? I don't know. That is a little bit shaky. The third pair, you've got Brendan Smith and Matt Dumba. Brendan Smith has been playing with the Rangers, with the Devils the last couple of years. let's see what he's got left in the tank. I think he's a serviceable defenseman, but is he good enough to be a regular in the lineup? That's really the thing there. Matt Dumba, I think this could be a good fit. I think Matt Dumba coming in honestly is the type of defenseman that he might end up beating out a guy like Lyubushkin on the second pair and becoming that second guy on the right side for the Dallas Stars on this blue line. Again, I think it's going to be a little bit of mix and match for the Dallas Stars coaching staff trying to figure out who's going where. But in all honesty, this is a good hockey team again. And I think this is not maybe the same team that we saw last year. You have some guys like Ryan Suter leaving the lineup. That honestly, yeah, it does factor in here for the Dallas Stars. As much as Suter maybe isn't the best defenseman, you're kind of replacing him with Brendan Smith. Is that 1-for-1? Is that a downgrade? Again, it's kind of hard to tell at this point, but I think I don't know. The defense is something that I am a little worried about for the Dallas Stars compared to what we're used to with this team. Goaltending, we're going to see a little bit of a change there. So you've got Casey DeSmith backing up Jake Ottinger. So Ottinger is still the starter. Otter isn't going anywhere. The Dallas Stars, at the end of the day, the new defense for the Dallas Stars is either going to be the thing that gets them back to where they've been, or ultimately is going to be their downfall, because I don't think there was enough change up front. I would say, honestly, their offense probably got better. And I think that's going to be a strength of this team. The question, too, comes in, how much more is left in the tank for the veterans like Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin? These guys have spent some years in Dallas, and we've been waiting for that season where they come back to that form. And at this point, they probably aren't coming back to their kind of peak level form. It's not going to happen. So that's where you really need to rely on some of the youth that's coming in, like Bjork and Steele and Stanchoven, and Wyatt Johnston ultimately, and Jason Robertson. That is going to be what drives this team forward in terms of their offense. Honestly, I think the Dallas Stars are still a playoff team. I think the Central Division is going to see kind of what we're seeing in the Atlantic right now, maybe in the next 2 years. I think the Central Division, you've got the dogs that are like Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg, and then it seems like Nashville, Minnesota, and maybe Utah are going to start to come on the rise, as we're kind of seeing something like that shifting in the Atlantic this year. I think you're slowly going to see the gap over the next 5 years really close in between the teams that have been at the top and the teams that have been out kind of looking in and started to make their way up toward the top and closing that gap. So with all that said, I think the Dallas Stars are going to finish this season with 108 points, finishing second in the division. They'd have home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. I do still think the Colorado Avalanche are ahead of them, and I think some of you were even saying in the Avalanche video, I want to see what you say about Dallas before I make my prediction about Colorado. I think these two teams are pretty intertwined. You could really put either one of them at the top of the division, because I think at this point it seems like it's Colorado, Dallas, and then there's the second tier teams where I've got Nashville, Winnipeg, Minnesota, St. Louis, and then you have the bottom teams like Utah and Chicago still kind of fighting it out for 7th and 8th in that division. So, like I said, I think there's going to be, the next 5 years, the landscape of this division compared to what it was 5 years ago to now, and then 5 years from now, there is a huge shift, because remember, the Chicago Blackhawks, the St. Louis Blues, the Minnesota Wild, they were the top dogs of this division for a long time. And now we're seeing teams like Colorado, Dallas have their glory years. And now we're kind of waiting to see what happens with Nashville, a new version of Utah coming in, Sergachev. There's a lot of things in that division that are going to change. And we'll probably see Bedard with Chicago bounce back up here soon. So this is a division where for Dallas, the time to win is now. That's kind of the point I'm trying to make. They need to win now. And for the Dallas Stars, with Ottinger in his prime, you have some years left on some of the older guys that are trying to fight their way to a Stanley Cup. And then the young guys, the youth, second year of Wyatt Johnston, Jason Robertson's established himself. This is the time for the Dallas Stars, and I do think they are going to be a legitimate threat once again in the Stanley Cup playoffs in 2025. But let me know, what do you guys think in the comment section down below? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again next time.